Ruben, your thoughts on your team and their efforts today?
I think we did well. Of course, we don't want to play like this, defending so much and giving the ball to the opponent. But with all the games, with all the problems, and then the characteristics of the players, try to leave Lindelof, for example, without games, trying to let him without a lot of meters to cover. Casemiro is more comfortable in this kind of game, so I try to adapt and to imagine the game that we could win, and we proved that today.
Are you on the back foot mainly because it's a tactical decision from yourself, given the options you've got, the players you have available?
It's also the opponent. The last game for Champions League was high pressure from PSV, man to man, and they are harder to mark in this way. In the low block, we can control more the game, and then we have some good players for transition. I think Garnacho made a really complete game. So he was upset last Thursday, and today he was amazing.
That said, once you went ahead in the game, did you feel like the confidence grew and you became a much more threatening side?
Yeah, it's normal. It's normal, and we try to let the starting 11 until the goal, because you know that when you suffer a goal, all that the players tired from the last games is going to show, and we push a little further. I think it works. It worked a little bit, but we try to choose the best moments to press high, and we have some moments winning the ball, and we create a lot of chances to win the game today.
What did you make of the free kick? It's obviously a brilliant strike from Bruno, but we noticed almost straight away that the gap from the kicker to the wall looked big, and it seemed like your players were also aware of that, because when Odegaard had a free kick in the second half, there was a lot of United players around the ball making sure that gap was closed.
I think from my side, I think was clear both free kicks. So when it's your free kick, you don't say nothing. When it is the opponent, you try to push because it's a big difference.
Okay, so the wall was too far away, but that's their problem, basically.
Yeah, no, not. It was fair. One for us, one for them. We had Bruno, and he solved the problem.
How challenging have you found today, Ruben? We spoke before the match about the fan protest, and that you could sort of sense that in the ground a little bit first half, but then it felt like once you went ahead and perhaps played a bit better second half, they came with you.
Of course, when you coach Manchester United, you cannot play too much like that. But the idea is to win the game, and not to show something to the fans. It's try to win the game. Imagine one way to win the game in this context. So I know that it's frustrating for the fans sometimes, but then when you score and you feel comfortable, and then you have a lot of opportunities, the game changes, the momentum changes, and they are happy. So we have to deal with that. Sometimes we have to do things that are not popular. But if you want to win, and imagine one way to win, we have to do it, because in the end we need the points.
The protesters said that they were showing their anger because the club is slowly dying. Did we see today that there is life in Manchester United, that it might not be immediately, but there is a path back to being the club of old?
I think it's clearly, this club will never die. That is clear. You feel it in the street, not just in the stadium, but in the street. But you know that this is a big business, and maybe all the fans around this league felt that sometimes it's harder to go to the games, to pay for the tickets, and that is normal. We have to also in the Premier League receive a lot of money, and they have to address that, because they started this passion from the fans. We have to pay attention to that, but it's a difficult situation. So we just want to give them this a lot of effort. Sometimes in the low block, I know it's frustrating, but in the future we are not going to play like that. But in the moment we try to win games.
Thank you. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ruben.
For that approach, using that tactical setup today against Arsenal. Gary, have your say on the free kick. You weren't here when we were discussing it earlier, and the advantage that it gives you, if that wall is not 10 yards, it's as big as 11 or maybe even more.
I'm sure through sort of, I don't know, virtual reality or something, if you move that wall forward 10 1 yard. One yard, and then got them to jump. I mean, when the ball goes over the wall that low and goes in the net that low, you know something's gone wrong, either from the keeper or from the wall.
Is the referee marking it out?
Yeah, I mean,
I
just looked at it from the sort of, usually you think, oh, that wall's too close. You never ever think that wall's too far away, but just look miles away. And then the Arsenal wall's huge in terms of the players that are in it, but you thought, I fancy Bruno here because the gap's big. I mean, I think your point around the goalkeeper's right. He's too far over to that side to start with. But then if a ball goes halfway up the net in the goal over the wall, something's gone wrong.
But it's also a good distance, isn't it? 25 yards as opposed to if he was striking it from 20 yards.
It is, but that ball just misses the Arsenal heads. If they're another yard, 1.2 yards forward, I'm sure, and they jump, or even, usually the wall ends up about 9 yards away because they creep, as the lad said before. So if you're 9 yards and you're creeping and you're jumping, they stop. They hit that. It hits the head. So it's. I mean, from an Arsenal perspective, I think they'll be disappointed because usually you feel that you're too far away and you start to creep and question. Obviously, United's players were aware of that in the second half.
Are we seeing the green shoots here? It was a lovely spring afternoon. Was there something here for Manchester United fans to cling on to,
I'm
Roy?
not sure, but I don't like where the manager feels he needs to apologise for the team sitting in. He's got to find a way to get good results. And sitting in, there's nothing wrong with sitting in, even for big clubs at home. Obviously, you'd want them to be a bit better in terms of possession. But if that's the way you can get results against teams who you think are in a better place than you, and obviously higher up the league and more confident, what's wrong with sitting in? I don't know why he needs to apologise for that. But it was a battling performance. Before the game, you thought, well, we take a draw. But listen, you have to give him a little bit of credit. But it was still, in general, I thought the game was of poor quality. But we saw 2 brilliant goals. But a long way back from United. Listen, we keep saying that. But they showed some battling qualities. I give them that.
You also heard him say there was obviously an acceptance, apologies about the style, but we need points.
Yeah, which is fair enough. Well, he said it. Exactly what you got to do. You've got to find a way to get results at the moment. That's not going to be the way he wants to play going forward. He knows that. But I actually think he's bright enough to realise. I think he's got to be... And this goes back to my point. Like, we're going to talk about what his win percentage is at the moment and how well they're doing. I often listen to what a manager says and how much sense they talk. And I listened to other managers previously try to almost insult fans' intelligence by saying, yeah, actually, we played well today, and yeah, we are really showing signs. No, you weren't, and no, you're not. Whereas this guy understands the team is not of the level that it should be. Now, when I look at the Man United team, this squad, how many of them would have got in these two, the squads? It wouldn't even... Bruno might have got on the bench. At most. Apart from that, none of them. So that's how much the quality has gone down. So if you're not going to have those types of players around you, you've got to improve it. You've got to get your recruitment right. And when there's that, how long is that going to take? Is that 2, 3, 4 windows? Who knows? But he is well aware, and he's probably the first one that's actually come out and said it, that we are not good enough. So if you get rid of him, you're only going to have another manager coming and work with an average bunch of players. They're not good enough, these players right now.
I think this group is better than 14th, or Jamie?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But that's not just all his fault.
Of course not.
That's obviously a joint manager's job.
Yeah.
So there's not. But when I look at Bournemouth and what other teams have done and how well they're doing, and you look at the league table and you see some of the sides at the bottom, that shouldn't be the case. We know that. But I still think that it is an absolute time is of the essence. You can't just keep chopping and changing managers every week because that's not going to bring success here.
But there's the balance that he's trying to strike. And it's interesting to hear him talk about it today. He's come in and very clearly wants to change his style and he wants to recruit in terms of that style. But they need to get points now. Do you think he's got that balance right since he's come in? 5 wins from 17.
No, not at the moment. I think he's come in and he's stuck to his principles. He plays free at the back and he wants to play free at the back. And I think he probably got the job because he wants to play free at the back. So why change now? It's going to take a bit of time. I thought they'd done well. I thought they'd come in, they sat 10 behind the ball, they had a game plan. Arsenal never really looked like scoring. I can't remember Onana making many saves. And they looked a little bit of a threat when it went 1-1. I felt the shackles come off, and it was like, oh, we can go out now. You know, when it was 1-0, they were sort of defending too deep for me. And when it went 1-1, I thought Arsenal for the next 15 minutes to win this game. It went the other way, and Man United did. No, I like what he did today. You know, he come here, 70,000 people, sat 10 behind the ball. You know, I like managers that do that. It takes a lot. You know, Sean Dyche was a bit like that at Everton. I like them managers that don't listen to the crowd because you can get involved in the crowd.
Nuno Espirito Santo has Nottingham Forest third with the lowest possession in the league.
Yeah, but they've got a lot of pace on the counter attack, and they've got an out-and-out centre forward who holds the ball up. And the most important thing, they score the first goal in a lot of football matches. You know, Man United don't score the first goal in a lot of football matches.
But he is very honest, Gary. He's he's almost welcomed questions about his own position and his own future at this football club. In reference to Arsenal and Mikel Arteta this week, is he going to get the time that he needs to make the change that is necessary here at Manchester United?
I think they'll back him. I think that they'll back him in the summer, and I think they'll give him money and chance to obviously alter this squad. He is positive. I think that he's got nothing to lose by being positive, because to be honest with you, the managers over the years have tried to defend players. I mean, he's called them. You talk about what we say in this studio, but he delivered the harshest line on this squad. He said they're the worst team in Manchester United's history. And to hear that from your manager is unusual. In fact, it's rare.
Was he wrong to do that?
No, because I think it generally could be. It's a really poor squad, and obviously it's been expensively recruited over the last few years, but it needs ripping up. And the lack of pace, I mean, Mercer just talked about there, the lack of pace in midfield and attack and in wing-back areas is unbelievable. I mean, you've seen up front today, you've got Xerxes, Garnacho, who's got a little bit of pace, he's sharp, and Eriksen. Last week it was Højlund, Xerxes and Eriksen. You've got Casemiro and Fernandes in midfield who aren't the quickest, and you've got two wing-backs who are full-backs who can't, to be fair, create up top. So his attacking options to score goals are absolutely none. I mean, you talk about Højlund, he's living off less than scraps.
But they did create chances today,
No, they did.
That's the ironic thing about it. They sat in because it was against Arsenal, but sometimes they should sit in against lesser teams. I think your ego and pride can get in the way, going, we're Man United, we're at home, we're going to go after team. No, even against lesser teams, sit in. Yeah, you mightn't have real pace, but you still have like lads today. Lads get into good positions and a kind of mentality to get into the box.
The only manager in the last 10 years who's been able to actually play on the front foot successfully, that's been Van Gaal. The rest of them have ended up coming in with fantastic ambition to be a front foot team, a pressing team, but they've ended up at the back of their own box. Amorim, Ten Hag, Ole, Mourinho, Moyes have always ended up back at the edge of their own box, and that has got to change. I'm not saying you can do it sometimes, but you have to have the ability to also to be able to sustain attacks in the final third like Arsenal have done today. That's when you are a really good team, when you sustain possession in the actual opposition half. No United manager's been able to do that apart from Van Gaal.
So is it just a question of swallowing this very bitter pill this season, finishing 14th, trying to go as far as you can in the Europa League?
Yeah, obviously they'll be hanging their hat and doing well in Europe, and suffer the next few months. Get to the summer, move lads on, which is easier said than done.
Thursday's
but we go
big.
back to it.
Thursday's
yeah, huge game from, of course. And we've spoken about other clubs over the last few months. The key to any club, bit of success, is get the recruitment right. You get that wrong, you will suffer for a number of years.
There we go. Roy Keane, Paul Merson, Jamie Redknapp, Gary Neville, thank you very much. Likely source for the equalising goal, because Declan Rice has only scored one in the Premier League before today, 5 assists. But really important and a good finish as well.
Yeah, I think this is a lesson to any kid out there watching football. You don't always have to run around like a maniac. Sometimes you just got to stand still. He just stands still on the edge of the box. Look, don't move, rolls back to him. Other players will run into the box there. He literally walks into the box. I think it's brilliant play by Rice, because he could easily get carried away. Look, he just stands still. Stand still. A brilliant finish.
Jamie?
Brilliant finish.
Well, I just look at this from Manchester United's perspective. They get themselves in probably when you feel like you've got safety in numbers. 9 men, you've got, and also the goalkeeper there, and everybody, if you can see, is pretty much looking at the ball. You've got your 2 defensive midfield, well, 3 of them there in the line. You've got Eriksen on the right, Fernandes the number 8, and then number 7 is Casemiro. Nobody has looked over their shoulder where there's a massive amount of space. Declan Rice has got his arms out. Please lay it back to me. I'm in a good position. No pressure on the ball, and he just pens it into the corner.
They're ball watching.
Absolutely.
United are ball watching. And sometimes they're having a little rest at the wrong time and they're a little bit fatigued. Too many players ball watching, get drawn towards the ball. And you give Rice, we know it's his only second league goal. I'm surprised at that, because he's got a good strike on him and it was a brilliant finish. But United just ball watching.
You said that Manchester United might have gone on and won the game. They very nearly did. A really good save from David Ryan, who had to be at his very best a couple of times in this game.
Oh, we have to give credit to the goalkeeper. Listen, I wouldn't necessarily be a big fan of goalkeepers. I'm always critical, but it's just a bit straight for Bruno when he's running onto it. Listen, we know his technique and is brilliant.
What do you mean he wants to come at an angle?
Yeah, maybe. If he's coming onto it, it just looks a bit straight. He's trying to get his body rounded. If you see here now, excellent play, and he's just a bit straight. And it just gives enough time for the defenders to get across and obviously the goalkeeper to make a really important save. And this is where the game was getting a little bit open. But when it was open, it seemed to be suiting United, not Arsenal.
How quick does he get up? He's such an incredible athlete. Look at him.
And it still takes saving that one as well, doesn't
Brilliant. That's what I'm saying. The agility that he uses.
But this is I think the best save of the game.
This was at 1-0, so maybe at 2-0 you're thinking it's a long way back for Arsenal.
I think great run. We run about United on the counter-attack. Great ball in. You're thinking hit the target hard and low. He does everything right, but we have to say that is a world-class save. Absolutely brilliant. All credit to the goalkeeper. We'd be critical maybe of the goal. But that was fantastic save.
Rasmus Højlund came off the bench and he's had a difficult run without a goal in 19 games. Can't say he didn't get moments here, Jamie.
No, this is, you dream of this when you're sitting on the bench thinking, please get me one of these. He just doesn't get his first touch right, takes it inside too much. He's had to sort of open his body up with his left foot and bend it in. It's just not good enough. Too slow. I don't understand why he thinks he's got more time than that. It's everything's happening so quickly. This one's a little bit unlucky. This is a great piece of defending. Really good body-to-body defending, and you can see it here. The pass is perfect. He's on his left foot. And good defending by Gabriel.
The encouraging thing for the striker, at least he's got a couple of chances.
Yeah.
Sometimes you worry about strikers, they're knocking in there, but he's certainly lacking in confidence. And his first touch with the first chance, he has to do better.
He's got that first touch on the first one. He's got to be come to his left. He's got to be aware Rice is there. So if he takes it a bit further to his left, Rice can't get across, and then he can get a shot. You could tell he's struggling with confidence. But to be fair to the lad, he don't hide.
Brilliant free kick from Bruno, though, it was, right at the end of the first half to give Manchester United what was probably an unexpected advantage at that stage of the game.
I'm not sure about the goalkeeper. I'm still not. I just think it's gone within, well inside the post, and he still hasn't even got a hand to it. I mean, it's well struck, but I'm surprised with the quality and the goalkeeper that Raya is, and he's a top-drawer goalkeeper. I'm looking at that, and I said before when they were taking it, I was like, if this goes over the wall, where he's standing, he can't save this. And that's what happened. He got nowhere near it. I can understand if he hits the post and goes in.
Well, I want to explain why I think this is actually so hard to stop. And I want to give, obviously, first of all, we have to give credit to the striker of the ball. Then I want to look at Xerxes and Casemiro. What they do really clever, if you just stop it just there, just take it back just a little bit if you don't mind, if we can. Because if you can see there, the keeper can see, he can just got a nice gap
Peek
for him
through
there.
that gap, yeah.
Little gap, and that's exactly what you want, because then you can see, once that ball gets kicked, the trajectory, so you might be able to get a look at it about 2 yards once it's gone as he struck it. But as he gets closer to the ball, just watch what Casemiro and Xerxes do. They take Thomas Partey across. Now, all of a sudden, that gap has gone. So the next time that he's going to see the ball is once it's just about gone over the wall. Now, you have absolutely no chance by then, with that trajectory and that top spin that he's got on it, of getting anywhere near it. That's why it's actually quite smart from whoever sort of devised that free kick, because it's closed the gap up, and then you have no chance, because the keeper can only react because he's not sure if it's going to get whipped into the other corner or whipped past there. I think it's a really great free kick from Manchester United's point of view, with the setup from Casemiro and Xerxes, but also the execution.
Yeah, I think it was a brilliant free kick, considering the goalkeeper got nowhere near it. And when it's a right footer, you think it'll always kind of be coming in towards the goalkeeper. But I think the power's probably caught the goalkeeper, because you usually think if you can get it over the wall, there'll be a bit of dip in it. But there was so much power in it. Yeah. I think it's almost caught the keeper by surprise.
25 points.
You have a player like that. Sorry, just so David Beckham was probably the best that we saw here. Roy played what David had he could always do the other one when he would reverse it. So as a keeper, you're thinking, is he going to go either way? And that's what Bruno Fernandes has. He has that quality. So the keeper's thinking, if I edge too far that way, he's going to reverse it into that corner. So you're always sort of playing cat and mouse. But once that gap closed up, it made him so difficult. So the next time he sees it, it's over the wall. Obviously, it was 11 yards probably the wall, which is wrong. But it was great execution.
Let's have a look at that. The law is a minimum of 10 yards. Minimum 10 yards. Gary spotted it in commentary straight away.
Great spot.
The free kick is 25.2 yards. And the measuring, you can see you do 10 strides, and it's always been a rough count. They don't have a tape measure. Our technology tells us that is 11.2 yards.
Yeah, but sometimes the wall creeps up when the referee turns his back, or when the shot's coming. The wall usually kind of tries to...
Yeah, a little cheat.
Cheating a little bit, but they don't seem to do that.
So those cut strips, there's obviously 3 of them in the penalty area, so that's 6 yards where the cluster of players are. So you've got 6 yards plus a 1, I suppose, where Bruno Fernandes is, and then the question is how many yards it goes the other way.
Yeah,
right.
You following me? Not really.
Yeah, it's like that army, isn't it?
You can't see the end of the arrow quite.
Right, yeah. But what Roy says is exactly, because when I used to have to stand in the wall, I'm sure the other guys did. As soon as you knew that once the referee's gone back to there, you're going to go right. Let's edge. Give yourself a couple of yards, and then he closed that gap down. But for some reason, Arsenal just do it too fairly.
I still can't get my head up his position. I can understand the other week when Pickford gets done by Fernandes, because that's right-footed and he can whip it the side of the actual goalkeeper. But for him to score there is near on impossible. And he's so far ahead. I mean, I think he'll be disappointed. I think at least...
He's not that far by the time he shoots, though, Merce.
He's not that far. He's still far enough. If he's in the middle of the goal...
He's just right of centre, isn't he, by the time that the ball is struck. Let's hear from Christian Eriksen on it. He's talking to Patrick Davison.
Bruno's free kick.
Very good. Happy that the ball was about 15 metres away, so it was perfect for him to put it over.
It's interesting you bring that up because I was going to raise it. What point do you notice, blimey, they're far back?
No, I think I saw it early.
You saw it before the kick?
Yeah, even before the kick, you saw how far they were back, and it was the same for when they had it second half. Obviously, we were a bit angry with the ref for putting us so far back because we saw when Bruno scored. But yeah, I think it was just beneficial for us.
And as someone who takes a good free kick himself, what difference actually does that make? I think we measured it on our technology. The gap is actually 11.2 yards. So it's further back, but it's only a bit really. Yeah. But you tell me, what difference does that make?
No, it makes a big difference. It makes a very, very big difference.
Why?
When the ball is over the wall, you don't need to hit it as high. Going down to statistics and how far they are back and how many meters and how they jump, so it's easier and gives Bruno a bit more space to actually put it over the ball.
Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim. This is the Manchester United midfielder Christian Eriksen live from Old Trafford. Christian, thank you very much indeed for joining us. What was your view on that 1-1 in the end?
I think we can be happy with a draw. I think we had some good opportunities to even win the game, but obviously being further back than we want to, then it's difficult. But I think we played a good game in general.
What about that free kick? You've taken a few in your time from Bruno Fernandes just before half-time.
Yeah, well, you have to let them play at the moment. You have to shoot at the moment because they're going in. I think even with Owen in the studio, I think we did a few free kicks before, but maybe he's been watching clips.
Christian, was that the game plan a little bit today? Obviously, you kind of let them have a little bit of the ball, was kind of sit in and then try and hit him on the counter. I thought Garnacho especially was terrific. He gave the team so much going forward.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of the game plan. Looking back or staying back a bit more and trying to punish them on that. And that was literally the game plan like you saw in the game.
And you'd gone to 75 minutes with the lead. Touch frustrated that the goal eventually went in from Arsenal at that point?
Yeah, I think so also. With the chances we had to go up for 2-0 and really close the game off was a bit unfortunate. But I think, we kept ourselves in the game for a long time and we had the belief that we were going to win, and unfortunately we didn't. But it's always a bit disappointing to concede a goal in the last few minutes. And
you found a goalkeeper in unbelievable form in that second half and in the very last minute as well, didn't you?
Yeah, no, I think he had very good saves which kept them in the game, obviously.
Overall, what's the general feeling about progress under Ruben Amorim at the moment?
No, I think it's obviously United. Everything is slow. Everything is more or less. Everybody wants it to be quicker and fast and everything, but it takes time to adapt to new stuff. It's a new style of play, new position on the pitch, and a different manager, like I said. It takes time to adapt, and we are doing our best to adapt as quick as possible and get used to it. And obviously, when you're United, there's no time to adapt stuff like that.
No, and he hasn't been able to pick a settled side either, has he? I mean, that makes it more difficult.
Yeah, obviously there's been a lot of injuries in and out, a lot of games, and not enough wins. That makes it a lot easier.
But just finally, a positive result today to set you up for an enormous game on Thursday there at Old Trafford now.
Yeah, it will be. It will be a massive game and very important for our season in general to win the next game and go through to the next round and give ourselves an option to go through.
Appreciate you joining us, Christian. Thanks very much indeed.
You're welcome.
Cheers. That's Christian Eriksen live at Old Trafford. He's right, though. I mean, it does take time, but when you're a Man United player, you're not given time, are you? You know that.
No, and I think Christian understands that as well. That's probably why he came out. He's probably one of the best talkers, I think. And I think also Ruben probably relied, on his experience. Casemiro's experience, I thought, did well in there today. Bruno playing in centre mid. I think he looked at those guys, thought, right, let's be solid, let's defend deeper, be solid in the middle of the park. Obviously, with Garnacho on the right-hand side, I thought he was terrific. And then Mazraoui, especially second half. He made some brilliant runs coming inside. So they had a game plan. And you know what? You'd have to say it came off. So credit to the manager and the players. But again, it's not often you see a Man United team that's got 30-odd% possession. But I think it was needs must. And I think the game probably on Thursday might be quite similar, against Sociedad. So that is a great blueprint for that game. They need to win, and if they can win the Europa League, Steve, they save their season. Whether you finish 14th or 15th, the Europa League is Champions League, and then you put yourself in a different position altogether.
Yeah, but that's not as easy as said and done, is it, winning the Europa League at this moment in time?
Well, they probably have the best squad in there. in the Europa League, so why not? You've got to plant a seed and say, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go win the Europa League. We've got the squad to do it. They got more than enough players to go and do it. I think the favourites were Tottenham and Man United, even though they've had really difficult season. And the only reason that's, Steve, is because of what they got as players. They can produce it. They did it, against Liverpool, didn't they?
Yep.
Went to Arsenal and got something, did it again today. And I think maybe that's a blueprint. Don't try and dominate the games. Play on the counter.
Like a cup team, really.
Yeah, play on the counter. You got the players defend well, and then you got players at the top of the pitch who can win your game in Bruno and obviously Garnacho.
And Garnacho, once someone like Ahmad comes back as well. And I think that when you are playing against a team like Arsenal, a top team that doesn't have the kind of striker that can finish those games off for you, make those games comfortable for you with the possession you have in the first half, you can get away with winning games like that at Manchester United. Playing so deep, Garnacho the furthest forward, because he was, if we're going to be totally honest, he was a real problem for us. The way he could run them out of problems and get them up the pitch and get them up there, and it was him who got the foul for the free kick. So their game plan in that respect worked, but it works because Arsenal can't be ruthless enough in front of goal to absolutely finish them off.
Is that his best game under Amorim today, Garnacho?
Do you know what? Often we've seen him play on the left, and he's quite effective coming inside, but I actually don't mind him on the right because he has to pass the ball more. Mm-hmm. When he plays on the left, he comes inside and he shoots. And I thought he created a lot for his teammates today. So I'll be honest, I rarely watch him and don't think he's a really, really good player. And I really wouldn't want to see him go because I think, in a way, you got to build around him or, the Kobe Mainus or the Marcus Rashford. I know he's gone, but you should build around these young guys. I know they might need to sell him for financial reasons. But I want to see these guys play there and grow and improve and enjoy the good times that we have, because he's been there and it's been quite difficult. But again, today, he was the shining light. Him and Bruno were the ones pushing that team forward when they needed it. Yeah,
and as you say, Trossard's foul on him created the opportunity just before half-time for the free kick.
Yeah, it was. And again, he was there, for me, the main focal point of what the problems that we were going to get were going to come from him. Trossard there, coming back, but then... he's chasing. He's pushed him in the back. It's a foul. It's a foul, and he's the danger guy. So, and once this happened, you just started to feel. You just started to feel like, oh no, Bruno isn't. Like he's counting out 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. No, you know what? You look at that there. It just looks far. It looks far, and I'm thinking to myself, as players, yes, you want to get to the 10, but then you want to start creeping, because you look at even the guys, the big guys, and they jump, and it's still the keeper can't get there, simply because, for me, he hasn't got to do a lot to get that over that wall. And the goalkeeper, you can see him coming over to the left, and he can't get there, because, for me, the wall's too far back.
But you know what? Sometimes when you get a free kick like that, sometimes, depending where the wall is, sometimes they're too close. As a free kick taker, I put the ball back, even though the ref puts it down.
You give it a yard.
I take it back a little bit because it just allows you to get the ball over the wall. That looked like there was too much space between the ball
and the wall.
Yeah. Often they look closer, and they probably were. I think there was a difference of about a yard, wasn't there?
We were just too obedient in that wall. You normally got a referee saying to you to move, but you got to sneak up. We didn't even sneak up. We just stood there. Like sticks in the mud.
Anyone think you knew what you were talking about for direct free kicks for United at that end against
Arsenal? We're not getting in again, are we?
We have to.
Guys. Well, we thought we'd compare it.
You know what?
Similar position, though.
Yeah, it's similar. I think that wall's even closer. Oh, they don't jump as well as I thought they should have. Maybe the one guy jumped there in that wall, but that was the technique of that, getting it up and down quickly was fine. I thought Bruno's one, the way it went in, it wasn't one that I felt went up and down quickly. It just went over.
The one thing I would say about the execution of the free kick, if it's done right, doesn't matter who's in goal, it doesn't matter who's in the wall. If you get it right, it gets over the wall in dips.
You can't save it.
You can't do anything about it. Because if you cheat, the only way you save is if you cheat. And if you cheat, I'll go the other way. If you get it up and down, I don't think there's anything the wall can do.
So just credit to Bruno here then?
I think it's a credit to Bruno. I think Rice may be a step right. So by the time, once he takes a step left, he can't get there.
You know what, when you put all things, when you add everything up with a goalkeeper, his position, the wall may be further back, and his technical ability, you have to give him credit for it, because it's an opportunity that's arisen simply because of the capabilities what he's got, and he's punished that. The ball's too far back, goalkeeper's too far, and he's punished that because he's good enough to do that.
Do you know, when I would have done the same as Bruno, because I would have looked at Ryan and thought, you're too far over to that corner.
Yeah.
I
You
think
have a look at the keeper first.
I think they should cheat, even though that's his corner, and if it goes in that corner where he stood, it's his fault.
Yeah.
You need to make me make a different decision. Once he stood there, I'm thinking I'm going in that corner. And I think he realised it at the end. That's why he took a step left.
Yep.
So I think, in a way, he could have stood a step left, and he actually might have saved it once he got there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It does, yeah.
So I think he's too far over, and Bruno thought, I'm going right there. And to be fair, it wasn't even perfect, but it was good enough.
It went in low. When it went in, it went in towards the middle of and it went in low into the net. It's not like it went high into the net because he had to get it up and it whipped in. It went in low into the net. I think that all these things, you watch where it goes in, Steve. He's trying to get across, and like, look, you look at it from this point of view here now. All he's got to do is beat the ball here. You know,
Beat
look,
it, yeah.
Look, it's in the middle. It's in the middle of the goal. It's like, you know, it's not in the top corner.
And
it's
he
in the
actually
middle.
doesn't get near it. Right?
Nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. So that wall needed to be, for me, at least a yard closer to the ball, so as then Bruno would have to get something on that. And that's where the mistakes come. When you have to try and put something on it so she could get it up there, then maybe you get it wrong, it goes over the bar or it hits the wall. But like in that instance, he got it over the wall.
Everybody's playing chess out there. Do you know, whether it was the wall with the goalkeeper, and you just got to create a fraction. That probably went in Bruno's favour, maybe kind of where the wall was in Raya's position. But credit Bruno, it was a brilliant free kick.
We said this a few times, I mean, he's so honest. He also said this week the scars are so deep from previous managers, it's going to take a while to change. And he had a little sort of ironic laugh there when he was asked, how are things at the moment? Because he's trying to make the point off the pitch, he's looking to the future. But on it, when you look at how many points he's picked up in his first Premier League games, 18 points, which is the lowest of any Premier League manager since Sir Alex in that period.
I don't think he could have ever envisioned it going this bad when he took over. I think everybody thought he'll come in, there's some good players, put his formation in, and the team will kick on. Okay, they won't finish top four, they won't win the league, but they'll get better. They haven't got better. If anything, they've probably got worse.
Well, they have points-wise, because Eric Ten Hag got more in his last 14.
And Steve, look at that. I mean, 15th, which is fine. Okay, they're not a team that's going to win the Premier League. We understand that. But you can't be 15th. And the thing is as well, it's not even so much the fact that they're 15th, it's they're not playing well. What's he, 25 games in?
In all competitions.
And it's still hard to see that you don't see Man United play well. That's almost a fact. They might find a way to get a result at Anfield or beat Arsenal in the Cup. But actually, what he was coming for is a clear identity and style of play. Yeah, but that hasn't translated to the players.
Can you see at all what he's trying to do at the moment?
Yeah, we can see it, but the point is, Steve, this industry, whether people like it or not, is only about one thing, results, right? You got to get results. It's not about him. You know, it's about Manchester United. How do they find a way to win? And he's got to find a way to get results with the group of players that he has. Maybe they can't play a 3-4-3, but you've got to find a way to find something in the short term so this group can have some form of success. The Premier League's finished, by the way. Their whole season relies on winning the Europa League. If they win the Europa League, they're in the Champions League. That's everything. So really, these last, 10 games, 11 games are an audition for what's happening next season.
So they're important then?
Is what he said. No, what he said in that interview. He said, I've got a squad in my mind which I'm planning for. But the problem is, there's so many holes probably within the squad. Where do they need to spend the money? We spoke about Arsenal. You know, one place really, two. United have a lot of areas where they need to fix. So if they can find a way to win the Europa League, they've had a good season.
You know what, Steve? It's kind of refreshing. Our honesty is, like you mentioned. There's something about him that you kind of like you do admire. And when you look at how Ineos have started, it's not been a great start for them. You know, with everything what they've done, you know, regarding Ashworth, and they've made some terrible mistakes. Obviously, we can't take no notice of the Glazers. They're still amongst it. But when you look at Amorim and what he said from the off, I remember the training he had with them, then the Ipswich game, a couple of games, and I remember he said, you know what I mean, this is going to take a lot of time. This is going to be very tough. I don't think people expected it to be as tough as it is, and the players to perform as poorly as they've performed up to this point, Steve. But everything he said would happen is kind of happening with what he wants to do with his team and the players he wants to bring in. Maybe that's why he wanted to come in the summer. But you look at it now and you think to yourself, everything he said is coming to bear. and nothing's changed. No one's improved. You know, it doesn't look great on him. And you'd like to see him be able to get the players he needs simply because at the moment, like Owen said, they're not even playing well in 15th. We're not even seeing green shoots from what he's trying to do.
I said to somebody this week about that, you just mentioned there, maybe they can't play 5-3-2 or whatever. And this person said to me, I've been watching Manchester United for every game, season ticket holder. He said, we're useless playing 4-3-3. Is it the system? I mean, is it really the system? Is that why we're not seeing any green shoots of recovery?
I think formations are massively overrated. Honestly, we talk so much about all these formations and tactics. In a way, I think it's a bit of nonsense. Players need to be active, in and out of possession. That's it. That's what it comes down to. Okay, you need a striker, you need goal scorers. They struggle to score goals. That's a big issue. But I do think sometimes maybe in midfield they're a little bit light, playing the 3-4-3. But ultimately, all it comes down to is you need players to be super active, which means when you're up against them, you got to go win the battle. You know, football's all about attitude, winning individual battles, being aggressive. So again, I wouldn't put it on the formation, but the point is the formation's not really helping right now. So find something where the team can have a semblance of success, build a bit of confidence, and then maybe get Højlund a bit of confidence, get Xerxes a bit of confidence. But I just think there's been so many issues, and I feel for Ruben because he's such a nice guy, and we all want him to do well. But it just feels like he's out on an island on his own here, and it's going to take a while to get it back on course.
Right, I must ask you this. Owen just mentioned Rasmus Højlund. In this system, in this current situation with Manchester United, would you like to be a centre-forward for Manchester United? Or how hard is that role? Right?
It's very tough at the moment. I know that there are a lot of people talking about him not getting enough chances created, but still as a striker, I'm still not seeing nowhere near enough of movement and quality for the calibre of striker he's supposed to be.
So he's not helping the other players in that
I don't think he's helping as well as, you know, it comes from both ends. You know, maybe there's not enough creation, but at the same time, there's not a lot of great movement from him. His hold-up plays very bad in respects of people coming to try and support him. And we're talking about sometimes very basic hold-up play, just getting your body in the right place so as you can hold them up, lay it off so as it can keep it moving. Some of the chances, you know, snatching, and we've seen that he has, in instances, Steve, we've seen him finish with aplomb, you've got to say, but I don't see enough fight and energy about him where he wants to try and make something happen, get the ball. Like, I would go through a spell where, you know, it's not coming in that. If I got it, the first thing I'm thinking is, if I'm going past whoever's it, I'm getting a shot off. I'm going to do that because I have to do that for myself, to keep myself going, because if you're going to be that striker that's constantly saying, I'm not getting the service, I'm not getting the service, he's not making great runs to the near post, he's not making great runs in the box. Sometimes you see me standing still. He's not doing enough as a striker to nick stuff that you're supposed to get when you're just a striker in and amongst it, because Man United still get the ball in and around there. And that's what I'm thinking at the moment. Maybe he's licking his wounds a bit, his confidence is obviously very low. But as a striker, you've got to go out there and you've got to get something, you've got to make something happen for yourself. You've got to keep the fans on your side so you stay on the pitch so you get the opportunity to try and score the goal, because they can say things like, yeah, but if he gets half a chance, we know he's going to try and shoot. Sometimes he doesn't get a shot in a game.
19 games without a goal. Do you have some sort of sympathy? He's still only 22. He was bought with that big price tag and wasn't ready to be the main reliant centre-forward at Manchester United.
Oh, big time. He
shouldn't have been as well.
He shouldn't have been.
Someone that's brought in and learning off of someone.
But they've done this before. They did it with Marcus Rashford, coming through. He had to carry all that burden for everyone. Did it with Anthony Martial. They're too young. Those guys should be learning. They should be the fourth striker and learning. I think Højlund, if he goes somewhere else, he'll score goals. And he's a really good player. He's got good attributes. Physically, he's almost perfect as a striker. Okay, his confidence is hit, but the team doesn't create for him. You know, Garnacho, maybe he needs to play on the right-hand side so he can cross the ball. Problem is that you've got the inverted wingers and everybody's coming in just shooting. You know, so again, I agree with Wrighty. You know, he can do more, but actually, he doesn't know when the ball's going to come in. Yeah, Alan Shearer used to say, the ball will go wide, cross it, and he'd go attack it. Whereas I think, for now, he doesn't know where the ball's going to come from. The only person who passes to him is Bruno.
Bruno, yeah.
And perhaps he hasn't got the gravitas. If an Ian Wright was playing there, it's suffice to say you would get hold of a few of the players and tell them exactly where you wanted the ball, when you wanted the ball. But he hasn't got that gravitas in the team, has he?
And it's a different time as well where you can ball people out and tell them about it. But that's where you do it. You do it in training, because when you do it in training and let people know, in no uncertain terms, you better get that ball in. You know what I mean? It's, you know, they realise when when it comes on a Saturday that just get the ball in, because then what you say is, you get the ball in. If I'm not there, then you can dig me out. But make sure I know that you're going to get the ball in, because Owen's right. If you don't know the ball's coming in, it is going to be very difficult to make a run near wherever it's going to be. You don't know what's going to happen as a striker. But like you're going to, I definitely would let people know, no uncertain terms, that, you know, especially mum in the box, you've got to get that ball in there.
The way United are, and you mentioned the one-off wins, would it surprise you if they went and somehow got a victory today?
No, they could. If enough of the boys put together a good performance, of course they could. Of course they need Højlund to be better, but they need everybody to be better. And again, I think you only really know players when it's difficult. It's really difficult right now. Can somebody step up and put in a performance? They can do it. Bruno, Højlund, Xerxes, they've got it in them, but they need to show it. Right now, it's a huge moment for them.